Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Nacho Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we are going back and revisiting our list from last year of our most anticipated games of 2024. And kind of two spoilers. We will be doing our most anticipated games of 2025 next week, so stay tuned and check that one out. Subscribe so you'll see that one pop up. But also, spoiler relating to that and this video, there are going to be a decent amount of games we did not actually get played on here, and some of them are because they didn't deliver, and uh, those ones will not end up being on our 2025 list. So that's just out there before we get to the 2025. I'll probably explain that again then. But yes, there are going to be quite a few on here we did not actually get to, unfortunately. But let
Yeah.
us know in the comments below if you got your games that you were anticipating in 2024 played, or if there are any that kind of got away from you that you're hoping to get played and are going to have to be pushed back into 2025.
Yes. But to start us off here, your number 10 was a bunch of Garfield games. So you had Shipwrights of the North Sea Redux, as well as Inventors of the South Tigris, and I believe you had Ezra and Nehemiah as well.
Yes.
Did you play these games?
I played two of them. So, luckily for us, I think if you're relying on Garfield Games, the publisher of these three games that cheated and put together as one, you can usually rely on them to get those ones out. I think they're about as reliable as they come with their games. And I did get two of them played, and the reason I didn't get Inventors played is just because I did not back the Kickstarter, and then I didn't buy it until later in the year. So I think I got it in like December or something, delivered late December. So I just didn't get a chance to play it. But I did play the other two, and I will say I probably need to get back to Shipwrights again. It From what I remember, it was pretty much just played it early in the beginning of the year, probably in like March or something when it delivered, and it was fine, I think, but it wasn't like one of my new favorite Garfield games. But I think I need to get back and give it another try. However, Ezra and Nehemiah, on the other hand, I played when I initially got it, which I think was earlier in the year, but then went back and played it because I was creating my list of top games of 2024, new to me games of 2024. So it didn't have to necessarily be 2024 releases, but went back and it may have made my list. You can also go check out that video to see which ones were our top games. And by May, I will spoil it did make my list, so you can go check out and find out where it was.
Yes, definitely check that video out. It will feature a handful of games. So we haven't played a lot of these, but we also have loved a lot of these.
True.
And that kind of moves on to my 10, and I believe I also cheated. Put on Marvel United Multiverse, Cthulhu, well, Clank Legacy, Season 2, Gloomhaven's Buttons and Bugs, and I think Cthulhu, Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. This is
How
pretty
did you put all these together? How did I allow this?
This was a more of what we already have pick.
Uh,
So a safe pick. It's like, is it really new? Is it really something you should anticipate when you've already played a version of it? And Multiverse of Madness, Multiverse of Marvel United did deliver, but I have not gotten it. It is at your house, and I have not played any of the content of that.
yeah, and I have
Cthulhu
not
Death
gotten to that either.
is not Cthulhu
That was
Death.
a late delivery. That was like late November.
Yeah, yeah. Cthulhu Death May Die, also Simon, and I don't believe that has shown up yet.
Not yet.
Clank Legacy 2 did show up and have not played that. But Buttons and Bugs was a gift from you for my birthday, delivered on Christmas when you came down here in Florida. And I have played that one, and I have liked that one quite a bit. And I will pull a Zach here and say it may have made my top 10 of the year.
It may have.
I think rightfully placed on anticipated lists. It paid off.
There you go. If you put enough of them on there, at least one of them, one or two, should
Yeah.
deliver and be played.
It
Because
was all,
yeah, the Clank Legacy one was also delivered. I think like the last week of December here or something.
yeah,
So did not have a chance to really play that one either. But going to be looking forward to it.
yeah, yeah. So this was like a top 20 list we did, and we're already like 10 games in, and that's two picks. But then you had, I believe you had Thiefdom as well as
I cheated
Millennia.
again.
Yeah, you cheating.
So, yeah, I included these. These were from Karma Games, and I would have. I think I would have thrown. I think there's another one. I'm totally blanking on it. But yeah, they were doing this large Kickstarter campaign of like four different games or three different games, new games, and then like a new expansion for Clans of Caledonia. And it was originally supposed to deliver December 2024, but I don't think the Kickstarter for Clans of Caledonia expansion was out until December of 2024. So obviously they did not deliver because they're trying to do like, I don't know, shipping together to make that cheaper. I think a lot of people are not that happy with it. I'm fine with it. Once I eventually get it, it'll be hopefully three. 'Cause I think there's a. I'm totally blanking. Do you remember what the other one was,
I
Pepper?
forget what the other one was.
There should be another one in there as well that I think probably came out after these ones. Um, and I look forward to those once they do show up. So I'll
Yeah,
be excited for them in 2024 or 2025, but they will not be making my lists again. I cannot give them that.
but they might make your top 10. And then it goes to one from me, which I think we were interested in this one when we looked at it when it was on Kickstarter. But we did not pull the trigger, but released. It seemed like it had some pretty good reviews. Flock Together, which initially just looked like, oh, animal game. And then you see that the humor and the theme is very wild, and there's puns everywhere, and it's about battle and defending, flocking together and defending your farm or whatever it is. And it just seemed like a really wacky, fun game. I was thinking, I might pick this up at retail or something like that sometime. Have not picked it up, have not played it anywhere online or anything like that. So, no additional comment on this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, if I remember right, wasn't that one like 70, 80, 90
I think
bucks or
so.
something, which makes it a little bit harder. It didn't quite feel like that, I guess, to me. Maybe it felt like that to you. That should be that price, but maybe, maybe
And
someday.
then you have, another safe pick for your number eight, Wormspan.
Yes, the other probably the other publisher, and usually might not always know, but I think we filmed this in like February, so it had been announced at that point. Because Somewhere doesn't usually always announce their games in advance, but that is Wormspan, and I think that ended up coming out in January, February. We got it like right after that video, so it was a pretty much a sure thing uh, once it was announced. But yeah, this one's kind of a re-implementation, a little bit of Wingspan. A lot of things play very similarly. I can see it. It is a different game, but to me, we played it a lot when we first got it, and I think this is one we didn't actually like go back to and play throughout the rest of the year. Wasn't that it was a bad game, because it did remind me a lot of Wingspan and had some cool new things, but there were just a few pieces to it that were, I don't know, a little more complex or complicated than Wingspan and didn't feel quite as smooth as Wingspan. I just love how well Wingspan itself flows. And this one still has good flow to it, just not, to me, it didn't feel like it was at the same level. So it's like in my head, I'm always going to compare the two. And it's like, well, I think I'd rather just play Wingspan. And yeah, that's just kind of what ends up happening. Not against this one. This one's still a solid game. And if you prefer, a little bit, I guess if you have played Wingspan and you really don't like it, you're probably not going to like this.
Yeah.
So I was going to say if you prefer or like kind of Wingspan but would want something heavier, maybe this would be for you. Or if you just like the dragon theme. But otherwise, yeah, it was pretty similar. So I don't know
Yeah.
whether or not you need both.
Yeah. I guess
At
when
least
you
that's what I've
say,
found.
I guess. Would you say from like Dwellings to Andromeda's Edge, is it like a similar difference or a little more complicated in that way? Or
Probably that's probably a good comparison, those two.
hmm,
Where yeah, there's just kind of those small tweaks and stuff that um, it's been a while since I played it, so
yeah.
there might be some things that maybe were in Wingspan that got corrected or fixed a little bit. If I don't know, I don't have any problems with Wingspan personally, but there might be people out there that don't like certain things, and I don't remember if it like addressed any of the potential negatives that people have with Wingspan.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. I guess I don't have them, so I wasn't looking for fixes. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah, I think I'd probably feel the same way. I have not played this one, but I do see this is called a leaf-eating cricket catcher, and there ain't no bird named that, so it's got the win there. And then on to a game that you have played, and I have right over there, but I've not played it yet. But I'm very much looking forward to it. I just watched a how to play on it, so it is coming soon, and that is Wondrous Creatures. And this was my number 8 last year anticipated games, and yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Initially, I think probably the reason that I picked it for this list was all the beautiful meeples, especially the ones that were riding the Animeeples, these wild creatures here, wondrous creatures, and the beautiful, colorful board and artwork on the cards and all that. And yeah, I haven't played it yet, so I can't say whether or not it was worth it, but I'm hoping it is, especially since you played it and then did give it to me for Christmas, unless you're just like, here, you experience this trash or something like that. But I think it's
well,
gonna
it's
be
kind
good.
yeah, it was kind of funny because I'd already ordered it, and then like it was like a week or two later, I went to a convention and they had it there as a play to win, and I was like, wouldn't it be funny if I ended up winning a copy of this as well? And then I'm like also thinking, well, now I guess I'm gonna see if it's any good, or if I think it's any good. And yeah, spoiler, this could have maybe made an appearance on our top 10 as well. I'm really wishing I would have put this as one of my anticipated now
Oh
that I've
yeah,
played it. So I think it's really good.
gotta win there. But you did put, oh boy. Oh well, that's not a picture to show it off there.
Well, that's a good picture to show it on. Perch. And yeah, this was one that I think the original due date was like in September or something. It's a Kickstarter, I think, or GameFound. I never remember which ones are which, but yeah, this one was one I was thinking was probably gonna get delivered. I think this is the same company that Inside Up they did Earth, right?
I think so.
Um, and yeah, that one's obviously had a lot of success. So I thought, this one should probably deliver on time, so I should be able to get it in by the end of the year. But yeah, that unfortunately did not happen. I think they had a few technical difficulties at their company, and yeah, I think now it should be delivering sometime here in the next month or two, hopefully. Because I'm very excited about this one. I think the Dice Tower played it during their Winter Spectacular, and uh, I was liking what I was seeing. So I'm hopeful that I will have that same experience once it comes.
Yes. So a lot of the ones that we haven't played aren't necessarily our fault so far. So far.
Yes, we're blaming them. I mean, I guess to be fair, I was a little nervous putting those Karma games at least on there because it was a December
Yeah.
24 due date,
We
and I
got
was
like
like, yeah,
a
with
couple
four
weeks to work with
projects, and
there.
yeah, it's probably taking a little more risk. This one I thought would have been, but things happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like it's years past two at least yet.
Yeah. Not yet. You got a ways to go. But yeah, this one for me, this was just initially solely on this cover that I absolutely loved, the Queen's New Capital. Um, and yeah, I didn't know much about it, and I still don't know that much about it, except it looked like a pretty simple game if you look at some of the cards. And I know they got a lot of backlash for using AI artwork. I don't really get too upset about things like that, and I think they've since released more games with actual paid artists, so there's that. No need to complain anymore. But the cards looked very simple with their symbology. And I think there were some tracks that you were moving up and down. I'm like, okay, looks like one really cool looking as well as approachable. And I haven't really followed up on this one. Didn't get it, and I think I looked back at the project once, and it was in like a late pledge or something, but did not go in on it at that time. And I'm really not sure exactly the status of this one, so I'm gonna have to check it out and see if it is available anywhere to pick up because I still really like that cover, and I'm interested in what the reviews are saying if
Yeah,
it is out.
I don't know anything about this one. I still don't, and yeah, I have not heard anything about this one, so I have no idea.
And but do you know about, oh boy, your number six flat iron?
Flatiron. We did get Flatiron. When we did play that one, and it's a two player, or I think maybe you can also play solo two player game mostly though. Um,
One to
and it's
two.
from the people that brought us the Red Cathedral and the White Castle, and yeah, I actually got to play the White Castle this year as well, and I'd already previously played the Red Cathedral. I really, really love those games, so I was really excited for this one for when it came out, and I ended up liking it. I think as of right now, maybe with more plays, it could get there, but I think it'd probably be my third favorite out of the three. So I was maybe hoping for a little bit more, but it wasn't a bad one though. It just was. I was hoping since it was a two player only one versus those other
Yeah.
ones. I think both going up to four players. I believe they go to four. Could be wrong. Um, I was just hoping for maybe a really, really amazing two player game, and I didn't get that from it, but still was solid. And yeah, I look forward to playing it some more times and seeing maybe it would overtake one of the other ones. But we'll say that the White Castle made quite the appearance this year, so I think it will be hard to overtake at least the number one spot of the three.
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I like that. I like the flat iron building, so that one is very intriguing to me. But not as intriguing as Incubo, which I was sold just on the cover and the theme. A boy and his cat fight their nightmares to save their sister in a whatever adventure. So they're in their dreams and their nightmares, and I'm just like, ah, boy and his cat in a nightmare world. That seems kind of cool. And this one is not out. And when I was looking in the games for 2025 to be anticipating, this one is listed as coming out in 2025. So it will not be making that list, just as a rule. And because I'm probably a little less excited about this one because I really don't know much about it. I think I looked at some rules once and that didn't really draw me in too much based on actual gameplay. Obviously, that was just like a little early look at it, but so this one's dropped a little bit for me, but I still like the theme, and if that is the final cover, I am pretty intrigued by that, but I haven't played this one. And not my fault, it just hasn't come out.
They're changing it on you, moving the goalpost.
Yes. And then you had, oh, I forgot this existed. Does it exist? Is it out yet?
I
Somewhere?
honestly don't know. I feel like I've seen people post on Instagram, but I don't know if I've ever seen it in the English version. I think it's always people from other countries that post it. So I don't know if it's in like Germany and
That might
stuff, and
not
maybe
be.
not the US yet.
Yeah.
But it could be in the US. I don't know. I have not seen it personally. So uh, let me know in the comments below if you know that this is being sold in the US currently. I haven't seen it, but I'm still excited about this one. I just obviously I have not seen it, but I guess I have not. I've also not looked specifically for it. With all these dual games coming out now, this was ahead of its time.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
I think there's already quite a few probably at that point, and
yes, there's so many of them forgetting which ones even have duels at this point.
yeah, no.
Yeah, it looks like this was an extra mention of yours, but your
Oh.
actual number five was Gnome Hollow.
And I think I've seen some reviews on this one. I think they were mostly positive. And this one actually is on Board Game Arena, and I've been wanting to play it on there, but I don't know. I think since it actually got on there, just been busy, I guess, with other things and have not gotten to play it. But I'm hoping that well, I commit. It will happen in 2025. I will play this on Board Game Arena.
That is one of your 2025 predictions for board game is
It's a
you will
spoiler.
play.
I will play it.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see.
And Pepper, you're going to play it with me.
On to
Commit.
my next pick. A wet
Commit to it.
screen. Let's see. Let's get a good picture here. There we go. Divinus. And this one felt like one that was in the works for, at least on my mind, for years and years, even when we made this video back a year ago. And at this point, I'm like, I'm still kind of interested in it, but obviously, we haven't played it, don't have it. But then some people are like, mixed reviews on it, and I'm like, I really don't know. Is it like too light? But I am okay usually with not having the most complex games, and like I could just roll dice against each other and decide a winner between them, like, and I could do that for half an hour and not get bored. So I'm like, I don't need it to be like super complex and deep strategy or anything like that. So artwork and kind of the dice crafting system still intrigues me. So even though people are kind of not huge fans of this one, hasn't made a huge splash, I think I even in 30 years, if I still haven't gotten this game or played it, and it's terrible reviews, one of the biggest flops in history, I'm still going to be like, I kind of want to play it. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, this one's on my list too of kind of wanting to play it, but yeah, unfortunately, I think this one kind of has the same thing as Flock Together, where I, I think it's a higher price point if I remember right,
Yeah.
which yeah doesn't help if other people are giving it the mid to negative reviews. Because that's kind of what I've seen too, but somehow I still am interested. I do know this one was it was on. I don't remember what version of it was. It was I don't know if it was Kickstarter edition or something was on Game Nerds and they had a Nerds Day for it and had it I think a pretty good discount and I think it had like 100 and some copies and it sold like five
Oh, wow.
at a pretty significant discount. So I'm like, oh boy, that's telling me people are not that interested. But maybe that means eventually we'll get a good deal on it.
Yeah.
'Cause
Five
once
bucks.
it gets to some point, it's like, well, it's worth it at that point. It just, yeah, like you said, I think a lot of the complaints are kind of, yeah, how light it might be or how repetitive. It might not really feel like things are changing. So it's tough at a higher price point, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think maybe in a few years, once they drop it down to $5 or maybe 11, we'll go up to, and we might give it a shot. Oh boy. Okay. Now here's one we can talk about. Your number four anticipated game, Conservus,
Yes.
however you say it.
Yes, and this one did deliver, did arrive. And yeah, this is a solo only game, which if you guys have been around, I don't usually play games solo very often. So yeah, I was really excited about this one, and it ended up, I think, delivering pretty well for me. I think it might have just missed out on my top 10 of the year, but I still really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's a nice little bag builder, kind of in a way you're managing your resources, managing the environment, keeping the population of fish stocked up. Uh, Solid production. All you ended up getting a chance to play this one as well.
Yeah, this I think
Uh,
is the first one that we have both played.
I guess what did you think of it?
I liked it. I like the bag building and trying to get a lot of these tokens, but not overpopulate it. And kind of the breeding of the fish, because then you just have like drawn all blue all the time, and it's like, oh, I don't need blue anymore. I need some yellow, and there's only like four of those in there, and I'm never gonna get them. So that little balance there, and kind of, but you don't want to deplete anything, and the cards, at least the ones that I got in my game, were pretty powerful and pretty awesome. Special cards that I got. So that makes the cards feel a lot more interesting to me, but I'm sure there's a lot more minimal power ones in there. But I liked it a lot. Great production and just a good very challenging. It felt it came down to the wire.
Mhm. Yeah, I've really enjoyed my plays of this one. Might be my most played on the ones that I've played here.
Oh, yeah. And here's another one that's been around for a while. Flow.
This one's gonna be a 2027, 2028.
Yes. Yeah, I think the Dice Tower was talking about it, and they said, "You ain't getting back on here, Flo. You ain't getting back on this anticipated list." And I think I'm feeling the same way because I wanted this one ever since I saw the cover. I'm like, I want this game. And then I saw the board, and I'm like, that looks like a normal board game. And I
Yeah.
dropped the interest a little bit because then I'm like, well, I don't really see anything that stands out to me. It could still be a good game. There's a lot of games that are amazing that you kind of have to actually play to find out, but nothing really interesting from gameplay from what I've seen. Nothing bad, just nothing that intrigues me. That cover, oh, that cover still's got me hooked.
I feel the same way. And yeah, I think they might have did this game a bit of a disservice. 'Cause I think once they got that cover, they must have just like put it out there. Because I feel like this one, I'm probably wrong, but it feels like it's been out there since like 2020, the cover piece of it. And I've been excited for that ever since I've seen that cover. And at this point, even if it wasn't 2020, if it was like 2022, it's like, oh, I don't know what status this one currently is in, so I don't know if it's going to deliver 2025 soon or late in 2025 or when. Uh, but having like a 3, 4, 5 year gap possibly of when people are seeing this amazing cover to when they're getting the game is, I don't know, a little sucky.
Yeah, and I feel like I saw like seemingly close to final production, like board and components and like playthroughs, like pretty early on, like a year ago at least. And I'm like, oh, I mean, if they know what everything's gonna look like, just print it, get it out, come on. But the bigger, harder than that, I'm sure. You can't just wish it
Right.
into existence. Oh boy. And then yours here, your number three, Windmill Valley.
Now, Pepper would probably say, kind of like Anno 1800, I think it was, he'd probably say about this one too, I can't believe you didn't have that already. 'Cause
That
this
is
is one
one.
I'm a little shocked myself that I think it's been available most of 2024, and I don't know why. I didn't pull the trigger on it ever. And you got it for me for Christmas. It wasn't that I fell out of love with it. I don't know why I didn't get it, but I'd look at it every now and then. So there was nothing negative against it. And I actually played another game by this other game, maybe two, by this designer. Played Arborea, or however you pronounce it. That one was really great. So I'm really hopeful even more that this one will be an amazing game once I get it to the table. But obviously, since I got it as a Christmas gift, I have not had a chance yet to get this one to the table. But this will be another one I commit to in 2025.
And good designer, good company, great cover,
That's
gear
true.
in
Board and
there.
Dice puts out great ones.
My goodness, this is right up your alley. Oh, boy, and it looks like I threw in an extra
But I will
mention.
mention the Board and Dice game, Toletum or Tiletum.
My goodness,
Amazing game.
he says so. He says so. He's throwing in an extra mention just as I was going to mention my extra mention from last year, which is kind of a cheat because it was a 2020 game, but it was finally going to deliver. I believed it after years and years that Monumental, the reprint with the second expansion, was finally going to deliver to my home, and it did.
Some
And
might have called you insane.
they call me a dreamer, and I was the only one who still believed. But yeah, we got this one. You actually got this one as well, I think from Amazon for $15 for the retail edition.
And it delivered in about a week.
I was almost doing that, but then they just like kind of made some shakeups with the company, and I'm like, okay, there's hope. Did deliver, and we have played this one, and this one, it it lived up to the expectation, and it did make an appearance decently high on my top 10 of the year. So I'd say this one was worth it. The years of wait for me personally.
Maybe Flo could do it.
Maybe Flow could
Once it
do it.
comes out, it could be the next monumental thing.
Flow is the next monumental.
Oh
Um,
boy, don't do this to me, Pepper. Don't do this to me.
oh boy. Is this my number three? It's down as Jesse's number three. An age contrived
Is
with
it on yours?
it
That
looks
can't
like
be.
it.
That
Maybe
can't be.
maybe we finagled and teamed up to each cover
It could have
so
been.
many games because this was I mean, I was interested too, but this is mainly a Zach game. I think you were more interested so much that you did back an age contrived and you played it. I did not.
Yeah, and I think I only played it once, and it was probably my. Do I want to say it was my biggest disappointment of the year? If it wasn't, it was close.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, that's. I might have to try it again, give it one more play, but just unfortunately, I was very hopeful, but the gameplay was just a lot of fiddly.
Oh, Italy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can take complicated, you can take too simple, but if it's fiddly, if it's clunky and weird, then I think that's the worst one.
hmm
But
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah, the production was still solid. It was what I was hoping for. You got those magnet things out on the board, but yeah, this one. It's unfortunate. Got a custom box and everything, and that all delivered, and it was. I think it was only a little late, but for what they were doing, I thought that was pretty reasonable compared to
yeah.
go back to Pepper's pick there of Monumental, taking years and years when it was technically a reprint, so, which I don't know that they changed it all. So yeah, it's just unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone that you have your name in the box or customized in some way has been a disappointment to you.
Yeah, reminds me of Merchants of the Dark Road, both of which use magnets. It's the kiss of death. I'm gonna hate Gnome Hollow. I
Jeez.
shouldn't play it. Well, if I play it online, I won't experience the magnets, so it
That's
might keep
true.
it alive.
That's true. Although
I'll
you
love
like
it on VGA, and then I'll get a physical copy, and I'll play it, and I'll be like, "What is this trash?"
that's true. Although you like the Merchants of the Dark Road a little more on replay,
That's
so
true.
gotta give them a chance.
That's true. So yeah, that's why I might have to. Maybe I just was not in the mood that day. Who knows?
But one that he has given multiple chances, multiple plays of is Andromeda's Edge. I
Yes,
also
I
know
have.
Dwellings of Eldervale in Space.
That is exactly what it is. And yeah, there were so we did actually leave this one set up and played it, Michaela and myself, like three times, I think, maybe four times in a row. And yeah, I don't know that I would always play it three or four times in a row. I don't think it was necessarily the same day. Might have played two games in the same day, but I don't. I think the other ones were other days. Um, and yeah, it does capture some of the things in Dwellings of Eldervale where you're returning you're putting them out your workers out on a map and taking actions and stuff, and then eventually pulling them back and putting buildings out into spaces, kind of dwelling, like in Dwellings of Eldervale. And a lot of those things are really solid. I like the scoring in this one a bit better. You've got these tracks that you're going up, and they kind of multiplayer player score, kind of similar, but it just is a little more interesting than the kind of the track multiplier thing in Dwellings, I thought. But it also lacked a few things that I thought were better in Dwellings. Um, this one had changed the die system a little bit, where if you had like, I think depending on how many units you had, it would kind of bring a new minimum your dice could be. So if your minimum was two and you rolled a one, you can re-roll those dice. Whereas in Dwellings, one of the things I really loved was that you could win with like one die by rolling a
Yeah.
six or something if your opponent didn't, and you could still do that,
Yeah.
just as maybe a little less likely. And I thought the monsters in Dwellings were more interesting than the encounters you had here. And I
Yeah.
felt like it happened more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So a little give, little take.
Yeah.
Um, so now the big question, because it just irks me, is so this is the re-implementation of Dwellings according to BGG, but Dune Imperium Uprising is not a re-implementation of Dune Imperium. What the heck are we even talking about? This is
I,
much more different than that is to that. And I don't care what rules they make. I was almost convinced once, but I'm throwing it away. They're wrong.
I, I don't know. I've gotta play Dune Imperium Uprising, and then we can talk about that
Yes, we got
because
to
I
talk about
I think there were some big changes in this one. Um, Not like totally game changing, whatever, but there were big enough changes that I would say that they're two different games. I could see you liking one a lot more than the other.
Yeah,
And maybe that's true of, I guess, Dune Imperium Upper. Maybe they're that, but
yeah,
seems like it's going to be pretty similar. We'll
that's
see
true.
though.
That one's got a worm on the cover. So
That's true.
on to my two. Oh boy. We're getting into the ones that we've actually played. I am happy that the higher up ones are actually getting played here. Skyrise did deliver to your place, and I played it once via Skype. You set up the computer to view the game board and played remotely. Just wrote down my numbers for bidding and played it, and that experience was smooth enough, and the gameplay came through great, and so much that it did end up making my top 10 of the year. So again, go check out that video and see where this ranks, but obviously lived up to the hype. Didn't deliver like too late or anything like that. I forget what the timeline was on this, but yeah, I was excited and was not disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very, very solid game, and it's crazy because, well, maybe Pepper did, but I did not go back and like look at this video and be like, okay, well, I got to remember to put that in my top 10. So
Yeah,
it is crazy that there are some of these making it in our top 10 of the year. So who knows? That maybe means really good things for those ones we haven't played yet.
yeah, who knows? Let's see. Let's see what your number one was. Oh my goodness. Well, that is
Ra- Raza, Dance of Love. So this is from the designer of Viticulture World, the cooperative version, and yeah, I thought this one would for sure be out by this year, but hopefully it will be out in 2025. I think there's just been some changes and stuff to it a little bit, or at least the production of it and stuff. So we'll see. I really liked the look of this, and it looks like there might be a chance that they've changed the look of some things, which, in my opinion, I thought they maybe looked worse. But the gameplay, I'm hoping, will still be very solid
yeah.
because I have liked Viticulture World, and I thought this was a very interesting thing where it's like dancing, um,
Yeah.
so kind of spinning around. I feel like that's a cool theme, and I'm hoping that'll come through uh, really well.
Yeah. And my number one, another one that was delivered, um, Crown of Ash. It did deliver, got to my place, and says a great production. And it's another one that did end up making it into my top 10 of the year. So this is a pretty good list for me, at least. That some of these are placing pretty high in my top 10 of the year, or maybe I just cannot admit how disappointed I am at them, so I have to force them on the list subconsciously. One or the other, but I'm going to
Yeah,
stay
it could
with
be.
it was a great year for these games, finally delivering from various years of waiting for these Kickstarters, and thankfully being worth it.
Yes, I agree. And hopefully 2025, our picks for that will be just as good, if not better. But like I
Yes.
said, let us know in the comments below what you had on your anticipated list and if it paid off or not for you. But otherwise, we hope to see you on other videos. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.